All right, hello everyone, and welcome to a very special request on a Friday afternoon, on Friday, October the 28th, 1 week out from the economics exam. You'll be all done with economics until you get to uni at this time next week. Some people want a little bit of an update on contemporary examples of government intervention in markets that has led to a less efficient allocation of resources. This is sometimes referred to as government failure. It appears in Unit 3, Area Study 1. So we're going to look at 3 contemporary examples of government failure, and then we are going to look at how you should answer questions about that. So first up, we're going to go into how it appears in the study design. So in the key knowledge, what you get is one contemporary example of government intervention in markets that unintentionally leads to a decrease in the efficiency and resource allocation. And the key skill that lines up with that is explain the effect of government intervention in markets. Logically, based on that, how those key skills and key knowledge go together, the only real question you can get asked about it is something to the level of an explain or below. So that means identify, describe, outline, explain. They're your kind of wind umbrellas that are going to have questions that fall in line with them. So the likely question, if it was to come up this year, and similar to how it's come up in the past, which has been rare, which is explain one contemporary example of government intervention in markets which has led to a decrease in resource allocation or a decrease in the efficiency of resource allocation. With that, whenever you get a question in VC economics and it mentions the efficiency and resource allocation, you should mention a specific type of efficiency that is or is not being achieved. In this case, because we're looking at obviously government intervention that's led to resource allocation being worse, we should be talking about the type of efficiency which is not being achieved because of what the government is doing. So let's move on to the first example. So first up, we've got JobKeeper. So JobKeeper is only going to be relevant for this exam for the last time. Next year it's probably not going to be relevant anymore because we're going to get to a period where it's not within the last 2 years, but it was in play within the last 2 years. JobKeeper was a $1,500 per employee wage subsidy, which was provided to businesses during COVID as an attempt to lower cost of production for businesses and maintain production and employment. The issue with these subsidies and why they made the allocation of resources worse is that many businesses that were still profitable were able to access these subsidies. For example, Harvey Norman received about $21 million of these subsidies, even though they were making record profits at the time. This means that allocative efficiency could not have been achieved because this funding could have been better allocated in ways that would have maximized society's living standards and therefore have made us more allocatively efficient. So that's JobKeeper for this. So you'd always, 3 marks, describe what the policy was, what it intended to do, and then what it actually did. Then let's move on to option number 2. So for 2, we've got the NBN. The NBN has been an option for a long time. And the NBN was essentially the national broadband network when it was initially brought in by a Labor government in the early 2000s, was designed to offer fiber optic internet from the interchange to the home, which would give us ridiculous internet speeds up to and over a gigabit per second. However, during a change to a Liberal government, it got downgraded from fiber to the home to copper, which was both more expensive and information travels less efficiently across it. This means that technical efficiency wasn't able to be achieved because we were both having higher costs and lower potential output, as average internet speeds were going to be lower for both households and businesses. Obviously, this negatively impacts our productive capacity because for many businesses these days, especially with the need for online businesses, the speed of internet actually means you are more efficient and able to produce more effectively overall. So that is the national broadband network as an option. And the final option that we're going to look at today is the minimum wage. So Australia has one of the highest minimum wages in the world. It's recently increased by 5.2% to be ahead of inflation. Since then, inflation's increased even more, so therefore it's probably not actually ahead of inflation, but it's the largest increase in wages or the minimum wage in a long time, if not history. This means that businesses have significantly increased costs of production, and therefore it is more difficult to achieve technical or productive efficiency as costs are not minimized. It also means that businesses are less incentivized to produce, and it's likely then to reduce their production and potentially output overall. So yeah, there are 3 really clear contemporary examples of government intervention in markets that has led to a less effective allocation of resources. Feel free to use any of those or any other examples that you have used in class. I find these are three of the easiest options to talk about, and always following that three-step process of firstly, talk about what the intervention was, what it intended to do, and then how it made a specific type of efficiency not be achieved. If you're interested in any other kind of economic video, let me know. Either leave a comment below or send an email to sean@therunningeconomy.com. There's 1 week till the exam, so there's not a lot of time left. Hopefully you're doing a lot of practice exams, you're doing a lot of practice multiple choice, you're practicing your skills, you're making sure you know what the task words mean. But if there's anything at all I can do to help you, let me know as best you can. Other than that, I hope you have a good weekend. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.